You're right guys, Shay here, Uneven Balance, hope you guys are well. So just want to continue on from my last video on the T20 squad for England versus Australia. We've obviously got the ODI matches happening afterwards. As you see on the screen right now, you've got the itinerary. We've got the 3 matches happening in Manchester after the 3 matches in Ageas Bowl. Yeah, we've got North, September the 11th, 13th and the 16th. Which, yeah, all-day night matches, all-day nights where they are. So that'd be interesting to see how the teams perform under lights in mid-September. That'd be just interesting. But yeah, anyway, so we have, these matches occurring. If you go through the squad now as well, we just kind of, pan over to that. I'll read the squad out to you here. So we've got Eoin Morgan, obviously, as captain, Moeen Ali, Jofra Archer, Johnny Bairstow, Tom Banton, Sam Billings, Josh Butler, Sam Curran, Tom Curran, Adil Rashid, Joe Root, Chris Woakes, and Mark Wood, with the reserves being Joe Denley, Saki Mahmood. Just to say, obviously, Joe Denley, I've got to mention before, he's in the T20 squad and he's reserved for the ODI squad. I think that's purely down to the fact that he's got a white ball contract, which was announced pretty much a year ago now. I think it's just simply justifying that by picking Joe Denley in the T20 squad. I don't think that really he has any real business being there anymore. I know he's a good white ball player, but I just think his ship has sailed. I think he should be dropped now. I think Liam Livingstone has done well for a few years now for Lancashire in T20 cricket, has played all around the world as well. I think he's a very talented T20 batsman, and I think the only way of finding out if he's got what it takes is by giving him a go. So yeah, I would like to have seen Livingstone in that squad, and maybe even a Sam Hain as the reserve. But yeah, there's plenty of options there at the moment. I mean, Ben Duckett scoring runs of fun, for example. Cole Campbell's doing pretty well as well. Joe Root, obviously, we talked about it before. He's not really part of it, but Ben Duckett, for example, could have maybe have come in as reserve. Was part of that large, 55-man squad. Alex Hales, big one there, is sitting there twiddling his thumbs, wondering what the hell he's going to have to do to kind of find himself back in favour, isn't it? So anyway, Joe Denley is there, unfortunately, but I don't think it's going to be there any longer. I think when the new contracts are announced, he will not be a part of any of them, and I think that'll probably be good night, Mr. Denley. So that's it. Anyway, so we go through, the ODI squad. So I mentioned before, briefly in the last video, that Wood and Archer are picked, which is really good, obviously. If you remember last year in the World Cup, how well they complement each other. And, as I said before, I expect them to play. Because, number one, this is Australia. More importantly, though, this is obviously the ICC Super League. And obviously the points count towards the final table. So it has context. And it's Australia, like I said, with no crowd, obviously, they'll want to get maximum viewership here. So Sky will, Sky will be wanting to ensure that they get maximum people in front of their TVs for the series. And I'm sure they will do, because ultimately it is still Australia, and it's a very different Australia that came here 2 years ago. Remember, England smashed Australia 5-0 in that glorious run, which was well documented in the test, the documentary charting the Australian cricket team over those 18 months. A fantastic documentary if you haven't seen it. But it's a very different side, obviously, with Labuschagne now a part of the team. Warner's back, Smith is back, Lyon's in there as well. And that's the thing as well that's important to mention, is that, yes, obviously the Ashes are a long time away, but a lot of the Australian squad in particular are going to be playing in that first test, you imagine, which obviously most likely going to be in Brisbane. And yes, you think about Lyon, Stark, Hazelwood, Cummins, Labuschagne, Warner, Smith, these guys are all going to be there, playing in that first test. So it's interesting to see how Wood and Arch go, because I think they will be in strong contention to play together during that test series. So there's a lot of subplots, there's a lot of a lot of kind of a lot of context, subcontext to this series. I can see that, actually. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Chris Woakes is obviously picked as well. He's a solid ODI bowler, so it's good to see him there as well. Obviously expensive David Willey, as I mentioned before, but we've already discussed that. So it is a really good squad. Moeen Ali obviously is probably the weak link, I'd imagine, my opinion. maybe going to do really well. I don't think so. I think they're pretty go after him because he's going to be expected to bowl his full allocation. Joe Root is there though in this squad, obviously, so he's bowling quite well at the moment. He bowled okay in the Test series when he got a few overs. He's bowling as well for Yorkshire at the moment in the T20s, so he's not too rusty. He can turn that shoulder over quite nicely at the moment. So I expect him to bowl a few overs, especially being a day in that game. I think he could skid on a little bit. So depending on the weather, but judging what's happened in the past couple of weeks, I think he might skid on a little bit. So Joe Root might come into contention. And you might not see such emphasis on Moeen as the second spinner. The batting looks solid. Obviously, there's no Ben Stokes still, but a top order. Bairstow, obviously no Jason Roy. He's not in the squads because obviously he's injured, isn't he? Pulled out the Pakistan series, so he's not there. But Banton's there, Billings, Butler's there, could open with Bairstow, and then you've got Joe Root, etc. So you've got a really strong team there. Just quickly look, see if I missed anyone else actually in that batting lineup. No, that's pretty much it. Yeah, with I'll see Morgan there. He's going to be there probably, I imagine, 4, maybe 5. It's a strong team there. I mean, Tom Curran's not bowling that well at the moment, which is a bit disappointing. I think it's obviously there because, his death bowling skills. And he still has currency, obviously. He did really well last year in the BBL for the Sydney Sixers. But it's an important series for him. Tom Curran, he's been off the ball for a little while now, so I think he needs a good series across the ODIs and T20s, against Australia. Sam Curran's a bit of an unknown quantity. He hasn't really had a proper run, wearing coloured clothing for England, and I think that he may get some opportunities. I think he definitely will, especially with no Willie and no Reece Topley either, the one that left arm option there. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes, because Dave obviously think very highly of Sam Curran, and the reality is he doesn't get into a first choice England Test team, so they want to keep him in the round squad. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. Obviously he's been good enough to play IPL. I mean, Punjab saw a lot of quality in him, didn't they? Even opened the batting for Punjab a couple of years ago with Chris Gale. Last year, the 2019 edition. But anyway, if we just throw it back, so I think it is a good squad. I think it's a good team. It's a very competitive side. What do I think prediction wise? I think the T20s can go probably either way, but I'm going to say an England win in both series. I don't say that lightly. I think we're very competitive, but I just think England will have the edge. Obviously, again, as mentioned before, they have your kind of mileage in their legs in a good way. They play cricket consistently now for a couple of months. White ball and red ball. So, a lot of these guys are in form. They're hitting nicely. It's come out the hand nicely. So I think obviously they've played a lot of cricket. Last time Australia played competitive cricket, was March against New Zealand at home. So it's been it'll be 6 months by the time the series rolls around this week. So I think. We'll see. I mean, Smith and Labuschagne, for example, those two are absolutely, they're terrifying, aren't they, in Test cricket, but they're not so scary in white ball cricket. But famous last words, they're probably going to average 60 now or something in the series, but I think England have a really good chance. Depending on the bowler score, but the fact with Wood and Archer back, and Rash there and Chris Wokes, I think you're going to have enough there to take the ODI series. The one day series might be slightly different. Obviously no Wokes there, but Wood and Archer are there. Moeen might go after him potentially. Let's wait and see. I'm a bit less confident in the T20s, but I think across the 3 ODIs, I think England will win. I do think England will win the series. So yeah, that's going to be my prediction. Scores, I don't know. I mean, T20s 2-1 across both series. I won't be surprised if England win 3-0 in the ODIs, to be honest, but let's wait and see. I'm going to go for an England win, basically, across both series. Anyway, anything else I need to discuss? I'm just looking now. Yeah, Sakib Mahmood obviously was dropped, wasn't he? To make way for Wood and Archer. He bowled okay. He's well kid series as well against Pakistan, but maybe, you know, didn't do enough to kind of justify his place. And to be honest with you, who was going to make the only way he could have retained his place was maybe if Chris Wokes didn't play, or maybe if Tom Curran. I think Chris Jordan pretty much is a shoo-in now for the T20 squad for sure. But it was hard for Sakib really to keep his place, in my opinion. I mean, Tom Curran offers someone with a bat like his brother does, but Sakib really doesn't. That's the thing, you know, now. So, yeah, it'd just be... Yeah, I think he's 23 years old. He'll get his chance again. So, anyway, that's it for me, guys. If you enjoy the content, please do like the video, share, comment, leave me a comment. I'd appreciate it. Anything you think, what was said tonight on these two vids about the white ball squads, if you let me know. And yeah, most of all, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Cheers.